Thank you. I want to, first of all, say what a beautiful sight it is to see standing room only here in this tent for yet another year. I know that hundreds of you were on buses last night and early this morning and came from every corner of Washington State. I know it's not easy to get here. They don't make it too easy. But I want to let everyone know, first of all, just what a great sight it is to see you and how important it is that you are here. I owe Susie Young, thanks for an incredibly gracious and kind introduction. Susie and I have had the privilege of working with each other for the last, I think, 8 years or so since Addis voted to join the union back in 2003, 2004. And she's just a great leader of our union and represents you all very well on the executive board. If there's someone who's always in my face about, we got to do more, we got to do more. It's not happening fast enough. David, what's wrong? It's Susie. And what I think she captures so well, that is a model for all of us, is the kind of righteous impatience with injustice that's come to embody what our union stands for. You know, when people talk about the union, they often talk about contracts or wage rates or pay increases or benefits. But the reality is, a union, our union, is about improving the lives of workers and their families and leading the way towards social and economic justice. And we can never forget that at the end of the day, we are a justice movement. We're not just a labor movement. We're not just about one contract or one set of proposals in the legislature. We have a vision of an economy that treats workers fairly, that values the work that they do, where not only the rich get richer, but the poor get richer, and we have a growing middle class. We have a vision of an economy where the role of government is not to vacuum up every last dollar and send it to CEOs and global corporations, but to actually use it to create a fair economy where workers who are willing to work hard and put their minds and their ideas and their bodies on the line for their work get fairly compensated, where they can look forward to their children having a better life than they have. Our vision is of an economy, and our vision of a society is one where what happens to seniors and people with disabilities who are in the frailest moments of their life matters not just to them, but to everybody, where they have choices about their own care and their own lives, where they are empowered to actually make decisions, and whatever stage of their life they're in, whether it's about managing pain so they can spend a few last days or weeks with their loved ones, or whether it's about rehabilitation and getting back to work or back on their feet, or managing a chronic disability for a whole lifetime, where they can live in hope that they can do so with dignity and with justice for the people who help and assist them live their life. That is our mission and our vision. And ultimately, when we come to Olympia to fight about cuts or fight about bills or fight about budgets, those seem like very abstract things, but there is nothing less abstract than the acts of daily kindness that everyone in this room performs in order to protect and sustain and value human life. So I want to congratulate everyone for being here, because in being here you are taking the first step towards creating justice, and that is to share your stories and the stories of the people that you provide care for. Our original slogan when we first organized the union, someone remember what this was? Invisible no more. Invisible no more, right? Because caregiving work so often takes place outside of the public eye, whether it's in a home care setting or a nursing home, assisted living, an adult day health center. Behind those closed doors, an incredibly important body of work gets done that too often the public cannot see and cannot appreciate until it's time for themselves or a member of their own family to need it. So when we're here talking about devastating budget cuts to the services that you all provide, we're here to tell the human stories, to educate the folks in the state capitol and in these crazy little office buildings there called the mods. You all will get to experience these fire traps for yourselves here in a little bit. But sorry, inside Capitol joke. There are these temporary office buildings they put up. But you're here to play an important role in educating these lawmakers and their staff about what you do, about who you do it for, and why it's important. So that is, in some ways, our number one charge today. Now let's talk a little bit about what's happening in our state and our economy. Today, U.S. corporations are sitting on top of nearly $2 trillion of investment funds, of surplus wealth, that they are not investing in creating jobs in our country. Unemployment is still at 9%. I could have brought a whole page of statistics, but to sum it up, what's happening in our country right now is that everything that should be down is up, and everything that should be up is down. Employment is down, unemployment is up. Foreclosures are up. Interest rates on your credit cards or your payday loans are up. CEO pay is up. Income for working Americans is down. And most of us in this room are old enough to remember a time in our country where it was pretty normal for one income to be able to support a household of 3 or 4 people.
Yes. Not no more.
And that is a dream that is lost to the many in the generations that have come after us. The reality is, not just during this recession, and not just during Democratic or Republican administrations, but for the last 40 years in our country, the American dream has slipped away from a majority of wage earners. The work that we did earlier, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, think about it. How many of you were in the union then? A number of you. It was during a great recession, immediately after 9/11, that we were fighting for our union to be recognized and for our first contract. If someone had said at that point in time that a group of minimum wage workers who didn't have any health benefits, no paid time off, no dental care, no vision care, no pay scale, no L&I coverage, and no tax withholding, would somehow be able to get, over a period of a few years, a 40% pay increase, health care benefits for the first time, dental, vision, paid time off, and a wage scale. Reimbursement for gas, the whole package.
And a vacation for the first time in my life.
If someone had said in 2001 that this group of powerless and invisible workers would somehow become the winners of the next few legislative sessions, people probably would have laughed. And what we did in our union is we proved them wrong. We proved that a sufficient number of people with a sufficient amount of unity fighting together for the right cause can actually win. And now times are hard. And there were people, including people we will talk to today, who would like to make us think it's somehow our fault. That somehow working people are the ones who want to pay to get the state out of the mess it's in. That somehow in these bad budget times, you'll hear everyone's got to share the sacrifice. Everyone's got a little bit of it. What cuts are you willing to take? They will sit in those chairs and they will ask you that.
Yeah, but they're not sacrificing nothing.
So I want us to ask them back, which part of this economic collapse did I cause? Was earning a $10 or an $11 an hour wage too much?
No.
Is being able to provide health benefits for myself, is that too excessive?
No.
Is that your idea of government waste?
No.
I believe in a very simple proposition. If you break it, you fix it. And we need to say to Wall Street and the big banks, the Fortune 500 companies, everyone who issued credit default swaps and engaged in risky mortgage speculation, you broke it, now you fix it. It is not our job. It is not just, it is not moral, it is not ethical, it is not right to ask from those who earn the least, who work the hardest, who did absolutely nothing to cause this economic mess, that we should somehow finance the state's way out of it. We've got to convince, and I will say it is a skeptical audience, that there are paths forward that do not involve damaging the health and the fabric of working Washington with this set of cuts.
That's true.
We have got to make the case that in an era when a mid-level DSHS bureaucrat is being asked to give up 3% of their wages, that it is not just to ask home care workers to give up 13% of theirs. We have got to make the case that for Wall Street banks to enjoy a $50 million tax loophole from the state of Washington is a less important priority of government than making sure that seniors and people with disabilities get life-sustaining care when they need it. And the way you do that is by confronting the folks we're going to hear and see today with your stories, with the stories of the people whose lives you touch every day. Because I don't believe that anyone who is a just decision maker or a just human being can possibly look you in the eye and say you deserve to be cut as a result of this state budget crisis. This is a difficult time in our nation's economy. It is a difficult time in our state budget. I have to confess that I prefer being a labor leader during the years where we can negotiate double-digit wage increases and new benefits and actually be on a road towards a living wage and membership in the middle class. There is a long way to go before that will be true. We made a lot of progress in our earliest years. There is a lot of progress yet to be made. It's not the favorite part of my job to have to say, this is not a year for progress, this is a year where we have to fight to hold on to what we have. But this is a year where we have to fight to hold on to what we have. Yeah. Now, the power of our union is that we are here to fight. Yeah. Because think about what if there was no organ, what if you were not here? Who would be talking about these cuts? Who? Nobody. No. If you think it's someone else's job to educate lawmakers and get them to do the right thing, you've got another thing coming. There's hundreds of corporate lobbyists right across the street looking to protect special tax deals or figure out how they can use the state's budget to build the bottom lines of the companies they work for.
And they make big salaries.
Yes, they certainly do make big salaries. And it is none of their jobs to make sure that home care and nursing homes and assisted living and adult day health don't get cut. It is no one's job but ours. And the power we have in our union is the ability to speak with that strong and united voice, and that, I'll say it nicely, and to help them up there decide to do the right thing. At the end of the day, it is certain that our nation will emerge from its long economic recession. What is not certain is what kind of a nation will emerge from it. Will we be, once again, the sort of nation that aspires that our children can live a better life than we do? Will we once again be a nation that has a growing middle class? Will we once again be able to fairly ask of those who are the winners in the economy to help sustain the economy and the society that helps them build their wealth? Are we the place where we can actually envision health care for everyone who needs health care, where we can envision a dignified aging process for our parents and grandparents? Are we the place where we can envision a strong education and a better life for our children? Or are we willing to give that up so the handful of folks at the very top of the economy can laugh all the way to the bank? We are the only ones, sisters and brothers, who can answer that question. We are the only ones. The folks across the street who we will see today have important policy decisions to make. But I, for one, am not willing to be part of a generation that let the labor movement die. I'm not willing to be part of a generation that let the middle class shrink. I'm not willing to pass on to the generations that come behind me a society that was worse than the one I was born into. This moment calls for righteous and dignified demands for justice. Will you join me today in making those demands for justice? We're going to get energized here with a little chant, and then we're going to bring up Shane to talk about what's going to happen next. But everyone got their juices flowing a little bit? You ready to make some noise? So I'm going to say long-term care is under attack. What do? Stand up, fight back. Long-term care is under attack. What do? Long-term care is under attack. What do? One more time. Long-term care is under attack. What do? Thank you very much, sisters and brothers. Your presence here today is just the beginning of a fight that's going to go through the end of the legislative session and beyond. We're here to make some noise. We're here to tell our stories. Let's have a great lobby day. Thank you.